It's no secret that I am a fan of the band Ghost. In fact, I've probably done more episodes about them than any other individual musical act on this show. But over the last month, I've realized something weird about myself. I kind of have a natural soundtrack to my life, and I very often have a tune going through the back of my head if I don't actually have music on playing. And I've realized I can actually discern my mental state for the day based on the song that goes through my head when I first wake up. And they're all from the same band, from Ghost. And I think it's weird, and I kind of want to talk about it on today's episode of Project Shadow.
Can you hear me? I have something to say. Project Shadow starts now.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name's Charlie. You might know me better as sci-fi fantasy writer C.E. Dorset. And yeah, music is a weird thing inside my head, especially here lately. And I don't know what it says about me or about these songs in particular, but I kind of wanted to share this weirdness with you just to see if any of you all have this kind of strange barometer in your own head. Because I've noticed it's very consistent. It's very consistent. I can tell the days my anxiety is going to peak. I can tell days that I'm going to have really dark depression episodes. And I can tell days when I'm going to be okay and in a kind of a nice emotional state. And it's the same songs that are present through all. It's weird. Okay, so what happened was I noticed for a couple days in a row that when I woke up, I had Year Zero by Ghost stuck in my head. And this is one of those moments where I wish my contract allowed me to, the terms of service, I guess it's a contract. Anyway, the thing that I signed for with the hosting company allowed me to play music in the show, because I would totally just like turn on Year Zero in the background right now, but I can't do that. But if you're not familiar with the band Ghost, they are a classic rock-inspired metal band who I think is the blackest of black metal, because they check all the boxes for black metal for the most part, in that a lot of their songs are about the devil. And they have a very fun, tongue-in-cheek nature to them. And the song Year Zero actually begins with the nameless ghouls chanting various names for the devil. Belial, Behemoth, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Satanas, Lucifer. And then we go into the song. That chanting, if I wake up and I can hear the nameless ghouls chanting in the back of my head, well, it's not going to be a good day. It is not going to be a good day. And it's not because I don't like the song. I think the song is hilarious. I think the song is funny. I enjoy the song quite a bit. But I came to notice that as I was having this kind of depressive dip there for a couple days, that every day I would wake up and that song would be going through my head. And it became just odd. It was an odd sort of association. Why that song? Why am I waking up every morning with that song in particular stuck in my head? And then I don't want to put these in order as if they all happened in the particular order that I'm saying. It's just, this is the order that I noticed the songs in. And then I noticed one day I woke up and I had the song Rats stuck in my head, also by Ghost. All of these songs are by Ghost. And I was like, so it's not Year Zero today. Okay. Well, that's different. And that day turned out to be a fairly anxious day. And this made sense with the lyrics of the song. In times of turmoil, in times like these, beliefs contagious, spreading disease, right? Those are lines, the opening lines to the song, by the way, if you don't know it. And yeah, I would have a very, anxious day. My anxiety would kind of be turned up to 11 on that day. And it was strange. And then the next one that I noticed was Dance Macabre, which I believe, I have actually done an entire episode on called How Can a Song Make You Expect to See It Rain Blood in the Music Video? I believe is the name of the episode. If I wake up with that song stuck in my head, I have a fairly good day. My anxiety's in check. My depression is in check. And I'm, for the most part, able to get stuff done. Huh. That's interesting. If I wake up and Mary on the Cross or Kiss the Go-Goat are stuck in my head, it's going to be a very, very good day. I am much more energized on days when I have those songs as the first song that goes through my head. And that's the important thing here is this. When I first started noticing this, I was wondering if it was like, oh, well, that song has kind of an anxious tone to it or a depressive tone to it. And because it's just repeating in the back of my head, that's why I am feeling that way, that they were causal more than they were, just a symptom, a sign. And that's not the way it's been working. The radio station that exists in the back of my brain that plays random tunes to me continues to play random tunes. So the thing of note is that first song, because after that, it could go off to Fleetwood Mac or to Stormzy or any of the numerous ways that my brain can go, because I like a very wide and eclectic mishmash of artists. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a strange thing. So why those songs? Why have those songs attach themselves to my mental state more than my mood? Because I don't want to go into the distinctions between mood and mental state. You can laugh and be depressed. That's a thing that can happen. It's harder to have happen, but it is a thing that can still happen. I think many people that have not experienced depression have not, realized that you can have conflicting emotional state and emotions happening simultaneously. I think the answer to why all of this is happening inside my head and how I can actually use these as a reliable barometer is because of the nature of my fandoms. And I've talked about on the show a lot how our fandoms really do emerge from ourselves, and they have less to do with the collections that we have or the stuff that we have, but our interaction with them. And because this is a band that I find entertaining, especially when I'm not feeling well, that I can often put their music on or some of their videos and just laugh and have a good time with it, whether or not that's what it's intended for or not. That's how my brain works. I think that these songs have embedded themselves in me so that my unconscious mind is able to call on them as kind of an early warning siren. It was looking for a way to kind of be like, oh, you're thinking about how to prepare for the day. Here, you need to be prepared for this. Today is year zero. Today is the beginning of year zero. Be careful, be cautious, mind your steps, because the darkness is going to try to come in. Oh, anxiety's coming. You gotta watch out for them rats. Wawaha. I'm intentionally not singing because I don't want to, copyright's weird. Anyway, I think that this was the best way for my unconscious mind to try to communicate with me. And so it picked these songs that I know very well, that I listen to quite often, and decided to put them forward and decided to present them to my waking mind as a way to realize what it was in for the day ahead. That unconscious process is something I think we all should try to cultivate, because I think it's a faculty that we all have, but not one that we exploit all that often. And it's one that I remember talking to my grandparents about. And I think it's worth kind of sharing their wisdom with you. Every one of us has a song in our heart. Well, it might not be a song. We all operate differently. I've known people who have always had a poem or a quote in them. I've had a friend recently, a much younger friend, who always seems to have a meme in mind and who would cite them even in common conversation, like not like while talking to you, would be like, have you seen that one with the da 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 da, and describe a meme out loud? And I found that very interesting and a little strange, but I'm not of that generation, and I'm not wanting to put that on everyone of their generation. But I've had people like that. I've had people that will see that they feel a particular fondness for a particular franchise or series that they find themselves wanting to watch or think about or talk about. And all of that is related to our moods. And you see, as we've talked about in the past, I think all of us have a myriad energies floating around inside of us. And whatever you want to call them, they could be the chemical processes, they could be your emotions, they could be your moods, they could be spirits, they could be fairies, I don't care. The words don't matter. In ancient days, much of my family has Irish heritage. And while a lot of our connection to the old country was lost over the years and whatnot, some of the traditions and some of the superstitions continued, because those were ways that we had to signify to ourselves and to others what was going on in our lives. I think in our current day, we get fixated too much on the rational and believe that there's nothing else that we need to be concerned about. I have fervently disagreed with this, and whether you want to call it emotion, whether you want to call it transcendence, whether you want to call it spirituality, again, I don't care. Those are whatever word is useful to you. I think those things are with us. And whether your patron deities are the Black Madonna or the Horned God or whoever, they could be Kirk and Picard for all I care. Those mythic heroes are playing out a melodrama in your mind throughout your life. Whether you realize it or not, we are all participating in our own private mythologies. We are all participating in our own little secret mythos. And, I'm talking about how I've learned to see this through my own use of songs by Ghost that just came about naturally. When I was talking to a friend of mine about this, they mentioned how they have a very similar experience, but with songs from Disney musicals. And we had a wonderful sharing moment about that. Because whatever your personal mythology is, and this is, I want to say that very specifically here, I'm not talking about your religion, My religion and my personal mythos are intertwined, to be sure, but they are different and distinct. Star Trek and Star Wars are very much a part of my personal mythos, and I quote Star Trek and Star Wars a lot. I don't worship at the altar of Luke Skywalker. So don't get this all twisted up together, because I think when people talk about mythology, it gets bound up in this whole concept of religion and devotion and all of that, and it doesn't need to be. Our minds, our spirits, whatever you want to call it, are trying to communicate things to us all the time. Our lives are giving us hints. We have an instinctual ability to know what it is we need to know from time to time. And our minds will find ways to present that information to us. The trick is, and what I'm hoping you get out of this episode today, is learning to see yours. How does your mind try to communicate these things with you? How do you perceive the world in such a way that you're getting to see a little bit of the matrix in a way that would actually make your life better? You see, the moment I realized, oh, I woke up hearing Year Zero on my internal radio today, I learned to start taking steps that I needed to take to keep myself positive, to keep myself uplifted, and to give myself permission to take a mental health day if I needed to do that. Because I can be really hard on myself. I have a very strong work ethic, and if I'm not accomplishing my goals, and trust me, I have way too many goals, and they're way too specific to be healthy. And I know this, and I'm working on that. But I can be really hard on myself on days when, my brain is just malfunctioning and not working in the way that I want it to work. Being able to hear that song, I was able to preemptively give myself permission that if I needed to take the day off, I could take the day off. And that is a huge change for me. It actually didn't result in me taking more time off to deal with my depression and to do things that would help me to mitigate my depression. But it kept me from punishing myself on days when I needed to take time off. For you, it may be the color you feel like waking up and putting on that day. Maybe it's the style of makeup or the color of makeup that you feel like putting on that day. Maybe it's the style of hair you want to give yourself, or whether you even feel like doing your hair. It could be any number of things. It could be the show that you want to put on first thing while you're getting ready, the music you want to hear. It could be just the weird show that you're thinking about, the book that you want to read. It could be any number of little indicators. But that could be your interaction with your own personal mythology, helping you through your daily life. And so that's kind of the homework that I'm giving you today. And I would love to hear how this works for you. So for the one who is always wanting me to talk about Jung, this is a time for us to start playing around with our active imagination. Active imagination, if you've never done it, is a very powerful process. It works well with our dreams, but it can work with any number of images that you find important to you. You find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed for a certain amount of time, and you sit yourself down, and you bring that image to mind. Then you ask it questions, and you write down, and that's important, you write down what the answers are. Now, it doesn't matter if that's coming from you or if that's coming from the image. In fact, it's probably a mix of both. And I don't mean that in a spooky kind of a way. Yes, your mind is interpreting all of that, but that interpretation is being filtered through your understanding of the character, the image, the story that is being presented in front of you. Allow that to give you an opening, give you a window into this experience of your own personal mythology. Because you never know what little things you might find that can help you throughout your day that make your life a lot easier. I never thought that I'd be able to predict my mental state simply by humming a tune in the morning. But at least for the last month or so, it's been fairly reliable and an extremely helpful thing to do. So maybe start looking around for little things that might help you. Little bits of your own personal mythos that are peeking through and trying to help you in your day. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it wasn't too weird. I get nervous doing these kind of weirder episodes. Let me know what you think. Down in the show notes, you'll find a link to the voice message system. Keep it short, keep it clean, so I can use it on the show. I would love to hear from you. You can also find me on social media. I am CE Dorset on both Twitter and Instagram. And you can find links to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com, which I'm kind of sort of in the process of redoing. But I'm always kind of sort of in the process of redoing. I do have the playlists linked up there now, though. So if you were wanting to see some of the Spotify playlists, they are up there for you to see. You know, I should also probably put a link to my Spotify account on there as well, because you can see all the playlists in my playlists. I should do that later. Hopefully I will have done that by the time you hear this episode. If you would like to join the project, down in the show notes, you'll find a link to both the listener support and my Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does that. It really helps out more than you could possibly know. You mean the world to me. If you don't have any money right now or you don't feel like giving, that's perfectly all right. But if you know anybody that you think would like any of the weird and strange things that I talk about on this show, please share it with them. That would mean more to me than you know. Alrighty, I guess that's it for today. If everything's not 100% well for you, I hope you get better. I hope so much for all of you. So until we speak again, stay well, stay safe, and don't forget to have the fun. Bye.